I'm about to expose how Alex Hormozi just sold over $100 million worth of books in 24 hours. That's 4.1 million every single hour. He didn't just sell books, he just executed the most manipulative marketing masterpiece that I've ever seen. And after generating over $4 million in the info space myself, I thought I'd seen every marketing strategy, but there's things that I even missed. So I'm about to reveal to you every psychological trigger, every funnel step, and every genius move that made it work so that you can steal these and use them to scale your own business. By the way, if you need help implementing any of these steps, I've left a link in the description where you can book in a scaling call and I'll help you with it. All right, let's get into the video and break down the exact funnel. So Hormozi used a 3-part framework called attract, educate, and convert. And I've spoken about this concept so many times across my YouTube channel. In fact, there's some of the very own strategies that I use within my business. Hormozi just injected a bunch of steroids into it and blew up the entire process. So although Hormozi's book launch generated over $100 million in 24 hours, the potential to do that was built over years. And it starts right at the very beginning with his personal brand. So you see this guy speaking about a personal brand every single day, post content, more volume, so on and so forth. So if you see, Hormozi has strategically been posting on Instagram over and over and over and over again with a combination of 3 different styles of content. Number 1 is behind the scenes. You'll see him in a warehouse with Layla, packing up books, preparing them for the official launch. So consistently, he showed up posting 2 to 3 times every single day with 3 types of content. Number 1 was behind the scenes. Number 2 is value-based content where he would share one of the things that's covered inside of the Money Models book. That way people kind of get like a free teaser and a free taster. And this is one of the most vital strategies that you should be using to grow your personal brand. There must be a clear link between your offer and what content you're posting. Otherwise, you're never going to get any conversions. So Hormozi was already priming his audience to take them behind the scenes, show them what him and Layla are working on to humanize the process so that his audience is now almost vouching for his book launch to do big things. Not only that, but if you analyze some of the behind the scenes content, Hormozi spoke about in the content where it's like, this is one of the biggest things I've ever done. This is all my years worth of effort and hard work. So he isn't just positioning it as a book. He's positioning it as one of the most monumental moments within his career, which it has turned out to be, right? But within that same frame, because he's nurtured his audience so much with a ton of value, he's given them so much free advice, his audience almost has a cult-like following. So they're almost vouching for him to turn it into a self-fulfilling prophecy for it to have happened in the way that it did. The second type of content is value-based content where he would share, this is one thing that you are missing in your money models. If you want more customers in less time that pay more, and he used a lot of repetition within his marketing. One of the biggest mistakes that whenever I work with any coaches to scale their business, I see is they have so many mixed marketing messages. But Hormozi's message was pretty much dialed in every single day and it's constant repetition. And Hormozi is a massive proponent of this. If you've watched a lot of his YouTube videos or his content or read his books inside and out, like I have, like a psycho, you'll notice that he says, we often need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And he lives by that. If you look at his, posts and even Layla's posts, they have a combination of over 5 million followers organically. That's a ridiculous amount of free traffic that they've built up through scaling and growing their personal brands. So as a result, he's gone out there and constantly reminded his audience. And Layla's, of course, co-promoting with him. The third type of content that they've been using to absolutely scale this up is reminders. Funny enough, it's nothing crazy. It's just literally, hey man, 24 hours until the book launch, 1 hour till the book launch, 1 day until the book launch. And they seeded a lot of education into the videos. So even his ads, which we'll get into in a sec, you'll see that they were hilarious. Like they pretty much, showed up wearing green screen suits and it was freaking hilarious. But what that does is it serves as a pattern interrupt because while everybody else is sitting behind a desk, speaking to a camera saying, hey, I promise you I can scale your business. These guys are going out there and getting a bunch of freaking props to use them to create their book launch, which makes it way more memorable. Hormozi pretty much started it with a short form content blitz. And one of the things that I tell my clients, one of the things that I personally do myself is I always test angles organically before I run paid ads. And Hormozi's done exactly that. He posted a bunch of free content and the best performing post that you've seen on his profile, he actually reran those as ads because he knows for a fact, well, if people engage in this so well organically, I can just go out there and do the exact same thing with paid ads, right? So he used a lot of organic teasing to kind of build hype, get his audience excited about the new book launch. He even did story sequences, if you remember a while back, where he was posting on his stories saying, hey, I'm releasing a new book, guess the book name. And a bunch of people flooded into the comment section to guess the book name and get it correct. That's a great way to build anticipation organically. Not just that, but he leveraged mediums like his YouTube channel. Again, he did vlogs leading up to the actual launch of the book. More or less was like, hey man, this is the biggest event of my life. This is us in the warehouse behind the scenes. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know how this is going to go. And that adds a human touch and an element. Again, cultivating his audience to want to root for him. He didn't just sell a book. He sold a mission that he's looking to achieve. And this is one of the biggest lessons that you want to take away when it comes to scaling your offers. You want to ask yourself, well, am I just selling an offer like everybody else? Am I just selling a fat loss offer? Or am I looking to transform 100 different lives and help them get into the best shape of their life so they can have a knock-on effect to their family? Which one's more powerful? The second one. Not only that, but he used the 7-4-11 rule to the absolute max, which is 7 hours of interaction across 4 separate locations and building 11 different touch points. And in a second, you'll see that he probably had way more than 11 touch points. But as he builds that interaction, as he continues to nurture people, as he continues to funnel them from his short form content into his longer form content, they build more watch time with Hormozi and they stay more on the top of the mind, right? So once he successfully attracted a decent audience, he didn't really have to do much because he's already built up an excellent personal brand. He moved on to the second stage of funnel, and this is where things get crazy, where he educates his audience. So if you look at the very, very beginning, it starts off here. It starts off with the paid ads. Now, I'm assuming Hormozi did 3 things with the paid ads. It would be a no-brainer for him not to do these 3 things. Here's the exact breakdown that I've noticed from Hormozi's ad creatives. So he would position his call to action in the very, very beginning of the ad. He would say, can I get your email? When most marketers wait until 70 to 80% into the ad to actually make an ask. But he knows that most people are never going to get to 80% of the ad. So he made the call to action within the first 3 to 5 seconds. And he did that for pretty much all of his ads. His call to action was, real quick, can I get your email address? So it's almost like someone stopping you on the street, asking you a very low commitment question. Because I want to send you an invitation for one of the biggest events that's taking place in the marketing world, where you're going to get, and he kept repeating the same message. He put together like an insane value proposition, where it was like, you're going to get something that's less than a Bitcoin, worth the same as an NFT, and you can only get it by attending this event. So he used curiosity. He didn't even reveal what it was, which again builds so much more anticipation, so much more hype that even if someone doesn't even know what they're getting, they want to click on that page and they want to register just so they don't miss out. So he started off with call to action, followed it up with an irresistible offer, curiosity, and FOMO, all within the first 30 seconds of every single ad. And he repeated that through every single ad. He kept the same marketing message, just changed different creatives to keep people hooked and engaged. One thing that should teach you is whenever you are running ads, and some of my best ads that have absolutely converted like crazy, I'll put it on screen. I ran this ad and we literally spent $600 on it and generated over 200 plus leads. Was a creative ad. It wasn't your regular direct response, sitting down looking at the camera. It was me in a straitjacket with a psycho mask on, and it absolutely printed. That generated over 70K worth of revenue and a ridiculous ROAS, right? So the lessons, right? Let me summarize. Call to action very, very early on so that you can get the most amount of viewers from your ads to actually take action. Irresistible offer, curiosity, FOMO, and absolutely wild creatives that intrigue people to want to click on your landing page. Okay. So once he did this, I'm very, very confident because this isn't Hormozi's first book launch. He likely has a lookalike audience of all the people that have purchased his previous book. I tell my clients this all the time. Data is absolute gold. Hormozi's previous book launch, maybe it didn't do $100 million. Maybe it did 20 or 30 million bucks. But imagine how many clients and customers he has. So I can almost guarantee you, I'll bet any money on this. Hormozi had a list of all these people that purchased. He created a lookalike audience of those people and retargeted them because he knows that their previous buying behavior is they bought my previous book. They know me. They like me. They trust me. It would be stupid of me not to create a lookalike audience of these people and target them. And by the way, if you don't know how to create a lookalike audience of your existing buyers, you are leaving so much money on the table. You can literally book in a call below. I'll help you set this up. With that being said, not only did he probably create a lookalike audience of his previous purchasers, he probably created a lookalike audience of previous people that opted in for his previous books, but didn't get it. And he pretty much just ran straight ads targeting these people over and over and over again. When I opened up Meta Ads Library, I saw at least 30 different creatives that he was running. So he tested like a madman. And that's another mistake that most people make. Most people run one ad at a time, 2 ads, 3 ads max, and then they don't work out. And they're like, oh, well, Instagram ads and Facebook ads don't work. That's not true. You're just not testing at the right volume that you need to go out there and attract clients. Now, for everybody that clicked on this page and registered for his book launch through this page, they pretty much started receiving a bunch of emails. Okay. So not only did he capture the emails, he captured the phone numbers and he sent multi-channel reminders. And again, this is another thing that so many people screw up. I remember when I launched one of my very, very, very first successful ad campaigns, I had a bunch of people that were opting in, but no one was booking in a call. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then all I did is implement a 15-day email sequence, which was the most basic email sequence filled with client testimonials, filled with FOMO, scarcity, and urgency. And as a result, I booked in over 5 calls and 2 of those converted into paid clients just using emails. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, who the hell reads emails? Even if you don't read the emails, you do check your phone notifications. And even if you don't realize it, subconsciously, your brain is registering that information and it stays top of mind. Top of mind is one of the most important concepts in marketing that Hormozi absolutely leveraged the crap out of. Okay. So breaking down some of the emails that you would get as soon as you opted in for Hormozi's book launch. Hey, Mehdi, my new book, $100 Million Money Models, launches on Saturday, August 16th. So consistent reminders. Even though Hormozi has a personal brand with over 6 million followers just on Instagram, not including all of his other social media platforms and mediums, he will still go out of his way to consistently remind. And I remember, and I'll tell you a very important lesson that I just discovered through all of this. And it was last year when I was doing my mastermind. Right before I was doing my mastermind, I was posting about my mastermind more or less every week. And I was like, that's enough. And I saw all my closest friends that are in the info space that ended up coming to the mastermind watching my stories. And I was like, yeah, like these guys are watching it. They're probably going to end up coming. I remember at that very time I was watching a Hormozi video and Hormozi was talking about his previous book launch. And he said, I always thought that I was advertising enough, but I realized I wasn't advertising nearly hard enough as I should be in order to have a successful launch. And he went out on the street and he was speaking to a few people and he said, well, they asked for a picture. He's like, well, you come into my book launch? They're like, you're releasing a book? And he almost face-palmed himself. And I had a similar moment in my journey where last year when I was promoting my very, very first mastermind, I was promoting it every week and I thought I'm doing a good job. To my surprise, I sat down with one of my very close friends and I was like, by the way, dude, you come into the mastermind? And he goes, you're doing a mastermind? And I literally saw the guy at my story viewers. So that tells you that you are not as important as you believe you are. You're not as top of mind as you believe you are. So Hormozi used a ridiculous amount of emails that literally went out every single day. They were a combination of you're registered, save this email, and getting people to take action so that, again, the emails go through to their primary inbox. This is super important. If you have an email list and you are not getting people to save your emails or reply to your emails, they will end up in your audience's junk. So a massive tip that you want to implement right now is in your next few emails that you send out, get people to either save the email or reply back. This is going to increase your delivery rate and also increase your click-through rate, your open rate, and of course, more clients and conversions. Hormozi used a series of emails where he said, this is the biggest book launch that we've ever done. It's bigger than X, Y, and Z. 5 mystery headliners. Here's things that you're going to get if you attend this event. Here's a little sneak peek. Did you miss this? Here's what I'm going to give you. 48 hours, a day left, 3 hours left. And again, like the official live stream launch. So again, he used emails to really nurture, really stay top of mind. And remember, when that's working in combination with the short form content, with the long form content, with the ads that people are seeing, with the emails that people are seeing, you develop what's called an omnipresence. You are literally everywhere at the same time. It's impossible not to see you. And at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things in marketing, staying top of mind. He had a bunch of incredible email sequences. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, in case you're doing a launch or you're planning something. And not just that, but he started nurturing even further with more trust building content across his YouTube. Now, once he attracted all the leads for the launch, right? Once he started educating them and really nurturing them, then it was time for the conversions. And by far, this was one of the best sales pitches that I have personally ever seen. I've scripted over 150 plus VSLs that use similar concepts with pain hooks, authority stories, so on and so forth. Hormozi did an excellent job at implementing every single one of these and then some. right? So the live event execution, he did a 7-hour live stream that has over 1 million views, by the way. And throughout the live stream, when I was watching it, this is exactly how he broke it down. He opened the live stream with extreme pain. He started opening the live stream with statistics of how many businesses actually fail, right? So he said something along the lines of 82% of businesses fail. Again, targeting every single person, aka the masses, of the 1 million viewers that he had live. I'm pretty sure this has gone up since recording this video, but as he opened with that, he said the reason businesses fail, so again, he alluded to the reason that businesses fail is because most of them can't get customers to pay them more than what it costs them to go out there and acquire a customer. He really dumbed it down to a 5th grader reading level. So even a child can understand it. And that's one of the most overlooked concepts in selling one-to-many. When you're selling one-to-one, you can speak and use complicated jargon and complicated terms to speak to the prospect and lead and so on and so forth. But when you are selling to 1 million people at the same time, and this is a thing that I've learned the hard way with Instagram content and YouTube content. If you're selling to 1 million people at the same time and you try to use some advanced terminology, you're going to sell to nobody. So he really dumbed it down to a 5th grader reading level. So if you watch it back, you'll realize exactly what I'm talking about. He's like, look, that's the number one reason why. So he isolates the problem. And he said, well, the reason I know this is because I'm Hormozi. I've done X, Y, and Z. Our company, acquisition.com, has generated X amount of money. We are in the top 1% of 1%. So again, he positions himself with authority. And after scaling all the businesses, after working with companies like X, Y, and Z, here's what I've realized. In my previous book launches, I've done $100 million leads. I've done $100 million offers. And you can have leads and offers, but without having the right money models to convert them, you're never going to make money. So it's like, I've already given you A, B thing. You like those things. You're probably using those things. However, without this next thing that I'm about to break down, they're completely useless. And that's a very powerful marketing strategy that most people overlook in their sales presentations. It's you have A, you have B, you're 90% there, but you're missing this 10% that's going to make the biggest fucking difference for you. And that's pretty much how he positioned it. After doing so, he broke down what a money model is. So he broke down the old method of building businesses, why most businesses get stuck, and more or less the new method, right? Which is implementing these money models that have not just worked for him, his clients. So after breaking down old method, new method, he broke down proof that this has worked in his businesses, proof that it's worked in other businesses that he's worked on acquiring and scaling, and then testimonial after testimonial and after testimonial. One of the most genius things about the presentation is when he finally got to the offer, he didn't just position it as you're going to buy this and this is what it's going to do for you. He positioned it as a movement. He said, I'm on a mission to make sure that I can help every business in America get 1% better. And if I can do that, it's going to have a ridiculous global impact. And when you position your offers like that, where somebody isn't just buying a product, they're buying a movement, that is when you get ridiculous traction. And I'll give you a perfect example. When you are buying Tesla, right? I don't like Teslas. I love Porsches and supercars and stuff. But here's the thing. I'm Team Petrol. When you are going out there and you are basically selling a Tesla, some people buy a Tesla not just because it's an electric car, it's because they want to feel like they're a part of the change to a cleaner environment, CO2 emissions, and all that garbage. Okay? If you like Teslas, get off this channel. You're not in the right place. But the point of the matter is, he pretty much positioned it as a movement. So people are compelled. His sales presentations aren't just designed to sell. They're designed to emotionally hook and move you into wanting to take action to create a better future for your family, for your kids. And he used very emotional, persuasive selling within the presentation as well. So again, if you want me to do a full breakdown just on the presentation alone, I'm happy to break it down step by step. Just let me know in the comments. But he was like, look, you guys work 80 plus hours a week. This is one of the most memorable things I remember. You guys work 80 plus hours a week. You guys, sacrifice time away from your family, from your friends, from your loved ones. You miss out on crucial events just to struggle to pay your business costs at the end of every single month. And I know for a fact that a lot of people out of the 1 million viewers that he had on that live stream, that hit them in the gut. And that's the thing. He has a very deep understanding of his ideal client profile. He's probably done hours of research. That's typically one of the very first things I help my clients build out. I'm like, look, if you don't know who your audience is, what keeps them up at night, what stresses them the fuck out, you're never going to be able to have a compelling enough message to want to move them. Now, getting into the final part of his presentation, the pitch. He pretty much, sat there, broke down a pitch for his one book. He value stacked and said, you're going to get all of this stuff for free. You are already getting so much value that you are now in value debt to Mr. Hormozi, to a point where you feel like you owe him money. And then he broke down his pitch, which was $6,000 for 199 books. I want you to think about that. No one in the history of history has sold books for $6,000, but Hormozi went out there and sold books for $6,000. But there's a very key important factor that you want to realize that he did in order to make that possible. So the first step was Hormozi didn't just go out there and say, you know what, you're just going to get 199 books, go spread the message, blah, blah, blah. He pretty much went out there and positioned it as, listen, you guys are going to be able to make an impact and a difference in your clients' businesses. My team will fulfill anything. So he removed any barriers where business owners that are looking at this have to think about, oh man, I'm going to have to go out there and ship these books out. He said, my team will fulfill everything. Again, removing the obstacles. And when you make a really good offer, it's important to remove any resistance obstacles that your prospects are going to think about. For example, like, let's say you're a fitness coach and you're coaching a fitness client. One of the obstacles that your clients might think is like, oh man, I have to track all my food now. But if you're like, listen, you don't even have to track all your food. You just have to voice note me and let me know all the food that you ate, and I'll have a team that just automatically tracks everything for you. You're removing an obstacle, which makes your offer more irresistible. So not only did he do that, but he positioned it as a $6,000 offer where they can buy 199 books to make an impact. And not just that, for the people that had the money objections, he's like, well, look, I've got a partnership with a firm where you can get this for as little as $250. And instantly he appealed to business owners' intrinsic need to want to go out there and market themselves, and framed it within their best interest. Because if they now have 199 books, that's a physical asset that they can go out there and give to someone. That's $60 a book. But if they go out there and get one customer through giving them a free book, through launching it in their stories, then, it's worth their time, because most people are selling offers between $2,000 to $3,000 minimum. Hormozi positioned it as an irresistible offer where you simply cannot go wrong if you go out there and purchase this book or this bundle. And he made a ridiculous amount of sales. I remember during the live stream, it was about 22,000 sales for the $6,000 offer. That's ridiculous. And with the offer structure, he pretty much funneled them down into a clean, simple landing page where he would literally not even a landing, an actual checkout page where he had a simple video. It was about 3 minutes long. He's like, here's all the stuff that you're getting to, again, reiterate, revalue stack, because he understood that his audience has now sat through a 7-hour presentation, or at least 40% of it, which is still a really long time. They're probably overloaded with a lot of information. Let me just clearly cut through and make a pitch of exactly what they're going to receive. Of course, he had a timer to build urgency and scarcity, and 2 options, right? To make it simple. Now, I'm a massive proponent that you should always have one clear offer in your sales page. But in Hormozi's case, it's either or. It's like going to a vending machine. There was a study done where they just had Coke, and, they made an okay amount of sales, but there was a vending machine where it had an option between Coke and Pepsi. Now you're forced to pick. It doesn't matter, like, whether you're thirsty or not. Your brain's going to look at that and think, okay, well, I have to buy one of these. Which one do I want to buy versus do I want to drink? And he used a very, very powerful concept to ensure that, again, he price anchored at the $6,000 price point. So even if like someone isn't considering buying that, they're like, oh, well, $30 compared to $6,000 is absolutely nothing. I'm going to go ahead and buy that. And that's how he retained a lot of the clients that came to his stream and didn't buy the $6,000 offer. And again, or as low as $250 with a firm, which is another massive fucking cheat code. If you are not using financing options or installment plans in your business, you are losing an unhinged amount of clients. With that being said, that was an entire breakdown of the sales page. I pretty much received emails every freaking hour, every other hour saying, you've only got 24 hours left. You only got 40 hours left. You only have 1 day left to make a buying decision. And if you think it ends there, it doesn't end there. He pretty much went out there and did a re-offer campaign. And what you have to realize, the most important thing you have to realize is none of this was accidental. Every single one of these ad creatives was premeditated way before he ever did a launch. And this is the craziest thing I see when I work with so many different coaches, consultants, agency owners, and why they're stuck at like 10, 20, 30K a month. Their biggest mistake is they don't premeditate their campaigns. They just go out there, decide they want to run an ad, and they figure out how they're going to convert afterwards. The one thing I always say, like even to all my clients that post a bunch of content, is I'm always like, look, there's no point in getting traffic if you don't know how you're going to convert that traffic yet. So unless you know with 100% certainty how you're going to convert that traffic, what's the point of going out there and getting traffic? Fix your acquisition problem first, because getting traffic is easy. After doing the initial sales pitch, Hormozi understood that there's probably people that are, tired from the presentation. They're thinking about it. They're swishing around the idea in their head. Other things came up. He's in the head of his own prospects, and he's mapping out his client acquisition process through the journey of his customers. So as a result, he did a re-offer campaign where he said, in case you missed it, time is running out. You still have an opportunity to still get this. Donate 200 bucks. Get this for free, get this for free, get this for free, right? And he ran a sequence of campaigns that were pretty much retargeting every single person. And again, this is why it's so important to collect data, because he likely collected all the data for all the registrations and opt-ins at this point. He knows that even if he had a 60% show-up rate for everybody that actually, registered to attend the event, he can now make up for the 40% that didn't show up and target them with these ads, because he knew the next day everyone would be posting it. Again, this is an advantage of doing it live. Everyone would be posting it on their stories, which if you're in the info space, you probably saw everybody talking about it, everyone posting it. So the people that didn't attend have now seen everyone talking about it, saying how incredible it was, right? And they feel like they've already missed out. But Hormozi comes to save the day and target that exact pain. Hey, I know you've missed out. It's fine. You still have one final chance to take action, right? Again, retargeting them with this exact sales page, and again, cleaning up on absolute sales. And if that wasn't enough, he had another layer, and this is the one that I was so shocked about, but it just worked incredibly well. During the time of the live stream, Hormozi mentioned that he had over 22,000 people buy the 199 books. I'm not even going to do the math to tell you that's a ridiculous amount of people. In the end of the day, he had a genius distribution system where one of my good friends, Charlie Johnson, bought his $6,000 bundle of his 199 books. And what he did is he weaponized his viewers into affiliates to tap into their audiences. Now, Charlie has over 500 or just under 500,000 followers collectively across different platforms. It's a lot. And by going out there, I was seeing, stories just like this, not even on Charlie Johnson's page, like a bunch of other people that I know in the info space that have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 followers and multiple different industries that were posting saying, hey, if you want a free copy of Hormozi's book, click here. And I'm confident that even within that book, they get access to his training modules, other things, and it just serves as this self-perpetuating funnel that feeds into each other. So this was an absolute marketing masterclass. This is exactly how Hormozi went from building a personal brand to doing over $100 million in 24 hours in a single book launch. So if you found this video helpful, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you need help implementing any of these concepts, you can literally book in a call below. I live, breathe, eat marketing for a living, so I can definitely help you with executing a lot of this stuff.